What's up, YouTube? This is Mr. Missoula coming at you with another math video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. All right, you guys ready for the AMI video? All right, pre-calc trig. I went through your AMI video or AMI forms from yesterday, and there are a few things we do need to probably kind of refresh on. Today, that is like Wednesday, I plan to give you like a pretest, but obviously can't really do that. So you're getting it Thursday. Hopefully we're here on Thursday. That was my desk. I don't want to knock on wood. But today I'm going to be going through some dimensional analysis or unit conversions. This is kind of a review of some Algebra 1 pre-algebra physical science stuff. It's like converting units. Now, I got a few parentheses here, a prefix, right? Prefix comes before a word. And that usually implies that it's going to be based on power of 10 for metric units. So metric unit being like a meter, a liter, a gram, those are all metric. But we have some Americanized units, which we'll get to a little bit later in the video. But some of the basic ones, we usually start at the base. So if you see a word that has the word kilo in it, like a kilometer, a kilogram, that usually means that you're multiplying by 10 to the third. Now, what is 10 to the third? It is 10 with 3 zeros instead of 1, right? So 10 to the third is just 1,000, meaning that there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Versus the other way, if you have a millimeter, for example, that usually has a smaller unit measure. So there are 1,000 millimeters in a meter versus 1,000 meters in a kilometer, right? So you're kind of going backwards. So it's 10 to the negative third, and negative exponents usually means divide, right? So you're doing like 1 over 1,000, which is why you get usually a smaller number. Now, how many grams are in 20.9 kilograms? Oh, and by the way, there's giga, mega, kilo. Those are usually the bigger ones, and they're going up in scale. And you've probably heard of these like kilobyte, gigabyte, megabyte, right? Terabyte is even higher. That's 10 to the 12. And then there's a little bit more too. There's some like really niche ones like hecto and deca. Isn't that crazy? Then you got the smaller ones, which is like centa, like centimeter, milliseconds or milli. Then you got micro, then you got nano. If you go even smaller, you have like pico, which is usually kind of niche to like atomic stuff, right? You're talking about like neutrinos and stuff. That's kind of where you get into those even smaller scale ones. But I'm getting distracted. All right. Also, before we get started, there's going to be 2 different questions throughout this video I'm going to pose. You're going to answer them in the Google form. I'm just going to say question 1 from the video, question 2 from the video. And we'll get into that whenever I get there. And they're going to be random, meaning you actually have to watch the video. So you can't just like scroll through. You could probably put me at 1.3 speed or something like that, and I'll make it go quicker. But I'm actually wanting to teach you some stuff because we will do a lot of unit conversions in this class, like a lot of them. Trig is about the study of angles, right? And we're going to be looking at a lot of applied stuff too. So like we're going to be doing like actual real life applied math. Now, how many grams are in 20.9 kilograms? Well, there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, meaning you do 20.9 times 10 to the third, which is 1,000, right? So you do 20.9 times 1,000. And essentially, the quick way to multiply by powers of 10 is to move that decimal point, so that 0.9 over however many power that is. Meaning you can move that 20.9, move it over 3, 1, 2, 3. So now the decimal point's right here. But you can't just have 209 space, can you? For 20.9, or yeah, 209 space. Meaning you got to put zeros there. So you got 0, 0. Then you got 20,900, and then G for grams, right? Cool. Any question? Oh, shoot. Gosh, that was just muscle memory right there. You can't even answer or ask questions. Like it's not a live stream. This ain't my Twitch. So, well, anyway, your question one from the video or on the Google form is that we looked at some prefix, right? Parentheses. I want you to research a suffix, right? Because those do also come up too. And the more you know about parentheses and suffixes, like the more that you're actually going to be able to learn English-wise, right? You're going to make, or science, math, English, they all use these very similar sounding or similar parentheses and suffixes. So I want you to research suffixes and find one that you find interesting and put in your answer. And then what does that mean usually? I was looking at a few of them earlier too, and I saw like Scopy, I think, is one of them, and I thought that was pretty interesting. So you could just Google it and then find one that you find interesting that you're probably going to use in your career path. Explain why you chose that one too, because the more you know. Learning is half the battle, right? All right, moving on. Let's do example 2. Convert 5.7 centimeters to kilometers. Ooh, this one's kind of spicy. Now, there are a quick way to, or we'll do it the long old-fashioned way, right? So kilo is 10 to the third, right? Centa is 10 to the negative second, meaning that it's not necessarily at the base, right? So if you want to, you could think about this as, well, let's convert that to meters and then convert the meters to kilometers. And if you do it that way, it's a little bit more tedious, but it kind of shows the point about what you're trying to do. So you got 5.7 centimeters, and then times 10 to the negative second, and I guess that would convert it to meters after that. So, yeah, no, that's exactly right. So then you got, move it over to the left 2 instead, because you have a negative now. You got 0.057 meters, and then you can convert that to kilometers now. And this would be going kind of the opposite way, because now there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer, not necessarily 1,000 like we did before, because before we actually had kilo and we were going back to the base. Here, we're going even further, meaning that you still have to divide by 1,000. So then you got 0.0000057 kilometers. It's a very small amount of kilometers there. Or, as we write this in scientific notation, 5.7 times 10 to the negative fifth kilometers. Now, what just happened there? The negative fifth power, well, if you're an astute individual, you'd realize that kilo to centa is actually off by a factor of 3. Or 5, I meant. Oh, God. So if you were to actually divide 10 to the third over 10 to the negative second, and then you got a common base, so you get to subtract the powers. So 3 minus negative 2, they're about 5 off from each other in terms of dimensions, powers of 10. It's kind of cool. And there's a lot of logarithm shenanigans going on too. But the idea is being able just to move it over decimal and kind of think about the spatial surrounding. Now, the next one will require a little bit more craziness to you. Sorry, I had like cheesy chips and my face looks kind of orange or reddish because of that. So it's a little embarrassing, but it's okay. I don't want to re-record. All right. Converts 6 meters per second to kilometers per hour. Notice how much more space I gave here too, meaning that should be a red flag right from the get-go. Let's try a different color. Let's do like orange. Oh, that's pink, the same thing. Okay. Now, we're going to learn about this thing called fence posting. And we're going to do this more in class too, so don't worry if it doesn't make sense now. But for those that are familiar with it, it's where you have kind of you have that line in the middle. The meters per second, kilometers per hour, per the word, no, it's not an onomatopoeia for a cat, right? That's P-U-R-R, and apparently that's new like slang now. But like per means divide in math, meaning that you're dividing your units. So you have 6 and then meters per second. we could actually set this up as a fence post. Now, what does a fence post even mean? Well, let's set it up. So you got 6 meters, and then this part is all division per second. Now, we want to convert to kilometers per hour. So we're going to need to actually units are just essentially variables anyway. They get treated like variables because they are, essentially. We want to convert the meters to kilometers. So we know that there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer, but in order for the units to cancel, they need to be on opposite ends like this, meaning that the meters have to be on the bottom. So the meters would cancel here. And now we got the kilometers on top, which is what we want. Now we want to convert the seconds to hours now. Now, I really hope you know how many seconds are in an hour. If not, you should know how many seconds are in a minute, and you should know how many minutes are in an hour, right? So if you do seconds to minutes, which actually, shoot, we're going to run out of room. I'll just go straight to the hours then. So 3,600 seconds in an hour. It's 60 times 60. So then we have, we want hours on the bottom because per hour. So we want 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. And that would cancel out the seconds on bottom. So now we just got kilometers on top, and then we just have hours on bottom. So then you do 6 times 3,600. So all multiplication on top, all division on bottom. So you got 6 times 1 times 3,600. Divided by, now, 1 times 1,000 times 1, so it's just 1,000 now, times 1 hour. So then you just punch that into the calculator. Now, you will actually need to use a calculator on these. And no, you can't just like Google this saying, how many is this? Because you're actually going to need to know how to do it. But once you punch that into the calculator, you got 21.6 kilometers per hour. Sweet. All right. Sweet. Yay. So now we got the big final finale. We'll be doing this type of question quite a bit. That's going to be in about 2 or 3 weeks from now. We're going to start to review geometry first, and then we're going to do into the trig. And like 5.3 is this type of thing, only to a different level because we actually have to do the trig now. So we are already have expected to be able to know how to do this conversion based on previous math classes. But from experience, I want to go over these kind of in a little bit more detail. But it is important stuff because we're going to be talking about like how like speedometers work, right? How they calculate how fast you're actually going, right? And we're going to be talking about rotations and stuff like that. But here we're just going to straight up do it. Convert 15, I know I'm blocking it, feet per second to miles per hour. Okay. So let's see if you're able to try this out on your own and see if you got there. Now, you will need to know how many feet are in a mile. That this actually is an oddly specific conversion that comes up so dang much. So, but there is 5,280 feet in a mile. So if you want to convert 15 feet per second to miles per hour, then let's set up a fence post, right? So you got 15 feet over seconds, meaning that for every 1 second you go, you're traveling 15 feet. So you should be expected to go pretty fast if you actually think about what the question's telling you. And then we convert miles per hour. So let's start off by doing the seconds and hours because we just want to knock that out. And as you remember from the last one, there are 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. So we want the seconds to cancel. So you want to put it on top, or else they wouldn't cancel. They'd be dividing out, right? 1 hour. And then the 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Now you want the feet to cancel, so you want to put the feet on bottom. So 5280 feet over 1 mile. So now feet is canceled. So now we're just left with 15 times 3600 divided by 5280. And that's obviously going to be a calculator question. And any conversion I give you, like on a test, would be very easy because I have to make sure it's not a calculator still. But for homework, that's fair game. And we're just going to round. So that's going to give us, really? 10 point, 23 miles per hour. Huh. Thought you should be going faster because in 1 single second you're traveling. Well, I mean, I guess actually that would make sense because if you're running at 10.2 miles per hour, that's pretty fast, and like I guess it would be a track speed almost. But question 2 on your Google form is look up some units. Like, be familiar with some of the crazy unit conversions. Like I found this book in the classroom. It's like crazy units are for good measure because it goes over like all these different types of like crazy units. And research some of the wackier units and find one that you like or that you might actually use in real life that you didn't know existed. Like a fortnight, that is actually a unit of time. It's 14 nights, 2 weeks, right? And then there's some silly ones like I saw one that was like furlong or something like that, which is a unit of measure of length. Um, some crazy ones are like that. So look up some crazy units and see, find the craziest one that you like. And fun fact, percent, that means divide 100. So every time you're converting to a percent, you're literally dividing by 100. Fun fact. All right, cool. Thanks for staying till the end of the video. Make sure you check out my other videos down in the link below. And I will see you Thursday. Have a good night.